Peace, family. What's going on? We back at it with another controversial review. So y'all can see from the title of this video, we're going to get into about Candace Owens and what she think about modern day woman with a very powerful message at the end of this video. So bear with me because it's going to be a little lengthy. Might be about 10-12 minutes long. But before we get into it, I just want to say how everybody doing. Hope y'all good and blessed. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and like the video. That's the only way we're going to get through the algorithm if y'all like and subscribe. Also, subscribe to my main channel. Excuse me, they're working on my the roof upstairs, so you got to bear with me. But subscribe to my my other channel, Let's Talk by CahreeLynch. That way you'll be connected on both platforms. Same title as just without 2.0. So without further ado, let's see what Candace Owens have to say about modern day woman.
Not only that, then increasingly you're telling women to be the opposite of what I think men want, right? The opposite. Maybe in the instant when men are not thinking with their big heads and they're saying, oh, whoa, she's half naked, great, I'm going to go for it. Yeah. That might be what a man wants. But long term, that's not what a man wants. A man doesn't want a girl that's just going to be naked all the time and put herself out there available for every man to see. You know, that I don't have to be a man to know that that's not what men want. Yeah. So then you say men suck. And I ask this question all the time. You complain about men, but are you being the type of a woman that a man would want, right?
Yo, what's up, guys? Before we get started,
you know what I always say? Experiment with both and tell me what makes you feel better. And that is the truth when it comes to young women, because I dedicated my first episode to young women and really talking to them about these are the options that are being presented to you. Less. Take off more clothes, you know, do the most to get attention, right? If you think that that's freedom, the idea that you have to wear less and the idea that you have to get naked to be heard, do you really think that's a form of freedom? Because that's not. That's slavery. That's bondage. Right. I didn't have to take off my clothes to be heard in society. And these women will realize that when you follow these people that are, you know, self-imposed feminists. I'm a feminist. I do this. I'm a feminist. You hear that word over and over and over again. You'll find that the majority of them are miserable. Look at their lives and ask yourself a question. Do you think they are happy? Do you feel good when you do what they do, right? When you're constantly looking for a dopamine hit from social media because you took your clothes off and you want somebody in your comments, you know, a thirst trap with your ass out, right? And you want someone in your comments going, oh, you slay, bae. You slayed the day, bae. Hashtag Tuesdays, am I right? Yeah. And you do the stuff for attention and you're devaluing yourself, and at the end of the day you don't actually feel good, and it's not going to bring you happiness, right? So yeah, you can get guys sliding in your DM, you can get guys telling you look good, you can get guys that want to sleep with you. How many of these people actually get guys that want to stay with you, right? Are not in somebody else's DM.
Right. And I think a lot of females out here don't really understand that. Like they'll sleep with you, they'll fuck with you for a while, sure, of course, but they're not looking at you long term. They looking at you for the short term. You got, you know, soft betas out here who would do that, but there's always exceptions to the rule. But and generally speaking, these men out here, when girls do stuff like that, they're not looking to marry you and start a family with. They just looking to screw or whatever, or keep you as a side piece. They're not taking you seriously. But let's continue.
DM. The same way that you found him is the same way he's going to find somebody else, because we are increasingly becoming a part of a society that's ADHD. You want to know why our grandparents stayed together? Because they weren't looking at ass cheeks all day on Instagram and refreshing it and going, oh, well, that girl looks younger, that girl looks better, that girl's face tuned, you know, and I think that is what these young women that they're following are telling them. You've got 13-year-olds getting lip injections, right? Because they want to look like Kylie Jenner. Again, not a shot to Kylie Jenner, but what society have we created that ever made Kylie Jenner feel like she had to go out and buy those lips, that she had to contour her entire face and change her entire body? She was already a beautiful little girl. So the society is ill. It's not normal, right? Don't let these people convince you that that's normal. That's cancer, and that cancer will become contagious to you if you accept that. You don't follow better role models.
It seems to me a lot of women when they hear conservative values, the trigger to them, and I could be wrong, the trigger to them, it seems as, bondage, go back in the kitchen, shut up and just, just be a slave to your husband. Why do you feel like there's so much of when they're hearing about some of the things that you say, like what makes you happy is making your husband a sandwich, some people like that sounds crazy, right? So why do you think there's such a disgust, such a rejection of that kind of idea of that kind of woman in regards to modern society?
Because we're being brainwashed via the education system.
Okay.
You learn feminism in school, right? You learn feminism. I had to actively
define
learn it.
And for clarification, how do you define feminism?
I can tell you how they define it and what it actually is, right? So feminism in school, when you learn it, is you're just fighting against the patriarchy, and you're supposed to see the patriarchy everywhere. It's the same way that critical race theory and race is being taught. The idea is they're not actually teaching you anything but how to hate white people when you're learning about race in school, and when you are learning about feminism, they're not actually teaching you anything other than how to hate men. And just
It is kind of true because when I think about it and remember, and I be trying to think about where did I first learn about racism, and it was in school. Like I had no idea about it, and I think my parents' generation was like Roots, like Roots. That was their time. My generation, I'm an '80s. I was born '84, so like early '90s was like my time. I learned from watching the movie Rosewood. And then from there on, it was just like wow. And we seen Rosewood in my social studies class in school. But let's continue.
see the patriarchy and men putting you down everywhere, right? So when you have that form of psychological conditioning taking place in the school system, you're producing women that see the patriarchy everywhere. It becomes like a paranoia, right? Oh my God, I'm asked me to make a sandwich. Oh my God, can I make a sandwich? And then that's it, I'm trapped. And they're actually not realizing that there actually was an incentive behind you even being taught that. You've never actually lived the life of making a husband a sandwich, and they think that's going to send you back, and suddenly you're going to lose your voting rights, and you're not going to be able to go get work. There was a time when there was a need for feminism, first wave feminism, right? But first wave feminists would want nothing to do with third wave feminists, which is where we're at today, right? Women that think that actually first wave feminists, you could argue, envied men, right? They wanted to be able to go to work. They wanted to have that option to be something outside of the home, right? Now we have that option, and we're being told the exact opposite, which is that everything in the home is bad. And that's what you call throwing out the baby with the bathwater. There are some really amazing things. I think the best things that come from being at home. Sometimes I think we got the bad end of the deal, right? I'm like, wait, we got to stay at home and do nothing and spend our husband's money, and somebody complains? Instant when men are not thinking with their big heads and they're saying, oh, whoa, she's half naked, great, I'm going to go for it. That might be what a man wants, but long term, that's not what a man wants. A man doesn't want a girl that's just going to be naked all the time and put herself out there available for every man to see. That I don't have to be a man to know that that's not what men want. So then you say men suck, and I ask this question all the time. You complain about men, but are you being the type of a woman that a man would want, right?
Exactly.
It's a self-perpetuating problem.
And that's like the double standards, and that's what men complain about. Like you complain about men, but are you being the type of woman that a man will want? Are you wife material? And for the most part, there's a lot of women out here not saying all, because I never say all, because I don't try to put everything in as one whole category, because we're not all the same. So of course I'm not going to do woman the same. That would be hypocritical, but there's a lot out here who seems to think that way. And the sad part about it is it's a lot that's out here in the lower level urban communities which I reside at, and a lot of us men reside at, so we have to resort to these type of women. So
and then you say that, and they, oh my God, Candace is a horrible human being. And I'm looking at you going, I'm not a dude. I wouldn't date you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, again, self-perpetuating problem. Not enough women calling out the fact that women are not desirable right now, in my opinion, right? They're sexually desirable, but I wouldn't want to take you home to mom desirable. And then you have men who are being hit over the stick and being told, man, bad, masculinity, bad, who need to be told, no, stand up, tuck your shirt in, right? be a leader, be what a man is supposed to be. And that dies when we're not even allowed to say man and woman anymore. And that gets me into the transgender, and I could rant for 3 hours on that. So
no, Candace, I like this, and that to me is a direction where I was trying to get to today, because the first part that I was thinking about was that it appears to me that a lot of the critiques that can appear to be personal is not really an attack on an individual, right? And none of us are perfect. Sometimes I say it the wrong way. Sometimes you say things the wrong way. None of us are perfect. But one thing that I think you're passionate about is that you're seeing that some of these ideas that are being projected in society, how they're negatively affecting the next generation, especially as it pertains to our children, especially your child. And so I think that's something in which I definitely agree with you that unfortunately in today's society, there's such an unhealthy culture, especially amongst men and women, especially amongst men. That's why we do what we do at the Roommates, trying to uplift and build better men, because we see that society creates so many unhealthy messages. And it's funny that you mentioned that point where when you think about how women were once soft in the past, traditionally, right? Generally speaking, and men were considered to be hard and tough. Now it's kind of flipped in inverse, right? Mm-hmm. Now that the women are projected to be these hard, tough individuals, and now these men are now created to be soft pillows, and you see them on college campuses, right?
Right.
But then, like you said, I love your point that you mentioned. You said try both out, right? So try what the society says in regards to being a man, and then try the alternative way, the more excellent way about masculinity, taking responsibility, being more ambitious, driven, all these things. And men all the time tell me that they're so much more happier doing it the other way than following what society has communicated to them.
Yeah, and it's like, why is society communicating to men to be more feminine at the same time that you're telling women to be more masculine, right? That's like, just take a step back and think. You don't have to like Candace Owens. Right. Take a step back and to go, that is kind of weird, right? It is a bit weird that you're telling men, oh, all displays of masculinity are wrong and you need to be more feminine, and telling men they can bend gender and do all of these things, while at the same time you're saying to a woman, you need to man up, you need to provide, you need to do this, you need to do that. That tells you that there's something satanic going on, right? And there's something, and this is why I go back to saying that the Bible has so much knowledge. Satan is the author of lies and deception. What more deception than telling women and men that there are no differences between them?
And that was the part I wanted y'all to hear at the very end of this video. Just read between the lines and see the signs. Censorship is real, so you can't really type these words or say these words because the bots, come in and do whatever. But y'all here, it's crazy out here, and like I said before, I say it all the time, and I'm going to continue to say it. Everything that's happening, as far as happening with society and politics, religion, domestic, abroad, everything, it's all connected. It's a connection, man. So I want y'all to realize this. But as always, like the video if y'all feel like it need to be liked, share, subscribe to the channel. When y'all subscribe, comment down below, and I'll welcome you and subscribe to my main channel. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.